The villagers of Monte Verdi spoke in lowered voices whenever the sun disappeared behind the jagged Italian hills. They whispered about the abandoned monastery that sat alone on the cliff, its broken bell tower leaning like a crooked finger pointing toward the sky. The locals believed the monastery was cursed, but only a few knew the truth behind the curse, the tale of Sister Evelina. Years ago, Evelina arrived at the monastery as a young novice with a gift the elders feared. She could hear voices no one else could. At first, these whispers were harmless, little murmurs drifting through the stone hallways at night. But soon the voices grew louder, clearer, calling her name even when she was alone in the chapel. Sister Evelina thought they belonged to lost souls seeking peace, so she listened. She obeyed. She believed she was chosen to guide them. But the voices were not the souls of the dead. They were something older, something hungry. One cold winter night, the whispers led her deep into the catacombs beneath the monastery. There the air smelled of damp stone and forgotten prayers. The torches flickered, even though there was no wind. The voices urged her forward, promising light, promising truth. But when she reached the final chamber, she found nothing but a stone well sealed centuries ago. The voices fell silent. Then, from beneath the stone lid, a single whisper rose, open, as if possessed. Evelina pushed the heavy slab aside. A blast of freezing air swallowed the room. She saw no creature, no spirit, only darkness, thick and living, swirling like smoke. When the darkness touched her skin, she screamed. But no one heard. By dawn, the monastery was silent. The monks were gone, every one of them, their rooms left as if they had simply vanished mid-prayer. And Sister Evelina was never seen again. Only the echo remained, drifting through the cliffs. Her voice, calling from deep underground, begging someone to listen again. For decades, the monastery stood untouched, avoided even by travelers. But curiosity has a way of creeping into places fear cannot reach. Luca, a young historian from Florence, arrived in Monte Verdi eager to document the forgotten legends. Locals warned him about the monastery, especially the path leading to the undone catacombs. But Luca laughed it off as superstition. Armed with a lantern, notebook, and recorder, he hiked toward the ruins at sunset. The moment he stepped inside, the temperature dropped so sharply his breath fogged in the air. He brushed it off and began exploring the shattered hallways, noting scratched symbols on the walls that no known order of monks had ever used. The deeper he walked, the heavier the air became, thick like wet wool. His recorder glitched with static. When he replayed the audio, he froze. Beneath the static was a faint whisper, "Luca." He spun around, lantern trembling, but found nothing except shadows clinging to the corners. Trying to calm himself, he continued downward until he reached the sealed catacomb door. The stone slab had recently been disturbed, fresh marks scraped across the floor. With shaking hands, he wrote the discovery in his notebook. Suddenly, his lantern dimmed, then flared violently, casting long, twisting shapes on the walls. Luca felt breath, cold breath, brush against his ear. "Open," the same word Evelina once heard. Against his will, his hands moved to the slab. The moment he shifted it, the underground chamber exhaled a wave of black frost that extinguished his lantern. In total darkness, Luca heard footsteps circling him. Not one pair, dozens. Then a woman's voice rose from the pit, soft at first, then desperate. "Help me! Please, don't leave me alone again." His heart pounded as he recognized the voice from local legends, Sister Evelina. But something was wrong. The voice split, warping, twisting into multiple tones that echoed unnaturally. The footsteps stopped. Silence thickened. Then something whispered directly behind him. "Thank you for opening the door." The darkness surged upward with a force that knocked Luca off his feet. He scrambled backward, but something invisible wrapped around his ankles, pulling him toward the open pit. He clawed at the floor, nails tearing, but the grip tightened. In the pitch-black chamber, Luca finally saw it, a faint, pale shape emerging from the abyss, a woman's figure floating unnaturally, her face hidden beneath a veil of shadows. "Evelina," he whispered. At the sound of her name, the figure lifted its head. Where eyes should have been, there were only hollow pits dripping black mist. Her mouth stretched too wide, splitting open like a cracked mask. "I waited," she hissed, voice layered with dozens of others. "Now you will stay with me." Luca screamed and kicked violently. His foot struck something solid. The lantern rolled and sparked, its broken glass catching a single flame. For a moment the chamber lit up and he saw them. Dozens of monks, pale and withered, standing frozen around the walls like statues, heads tilted toward him, empty eyes watching. Their lips began moving in unison, whispering one command, "Join us." In one last desperate act, Luca grabbed the lantern's metal frame and slammed it against a loose support beam. The dry wood caught fire instantly. Flames raced across the room, filling the catacombs with smoke. The darkness recoiled, screeching. The grip on his legs loosened. Luca crawled toward the exit, lungs burning, vision blurring. As he reached the stairs, he looked back one last time. Evelina stood at the center of the chamber, her face flickering like a dying candle, the monks melting into the smoke around her. "You cannot run," she whispered. "Every voice you hear from now on will be mine." Luca burst out of the monastery just as the ground trembled and the entrance collapsed behind him. He survived, but the whispers followed. In his apartment in Florence late at night, he still hears Evelina calling from the shadows, her voice closer each time. And some nights, when he checks his reflection in the mirror, he swears he sees someone standing behind him, someone wearing a torn nun's habit, smiling with hollow eyes.